Now this is the second movie of my little contribution to what Sonia Gomes asked us to be together in this honoring the anniversary of the departure of Trungpa Rinpoche, Chogi. I read a poetry before, and the poetry was the one that came out when I asked which poem to read. It just came out, that one. And now I'm going to just tell a little bit why Trungpa Rinpoche is the most important energy and person, and I don't know how to say it in my life. It's the foundation of why I am still alive. Somehow it looks dramatic, but it's the way I feel it. Actually, now I'm maybe able to not cry when I say these things, but a few years ago I was not even able to not be crying. So I did not meet personally Trungpa Rinpoche. I was raised in America, in Detroit, Michigan, but I left as a child, and I was in Paris, and I was living in streets very young. I left house. My name is Yumma Mudra. I'm a dancer. And when I lived in the streets in Paris, we used to have a lot of book in the streets. You can buy books for very cheap, and you have all books mixed together, like second-hand books, so it could come together completely different kind of books, and cutting through material spiritual, I don't know how you say in English, but Cutting Through was the book I picked up one day. I was I think I was 15 years old. I was living out of house since I was 14. I never went back to live with my mother. My mother is a single mother, and I always lived on my own since. And that book was very fundamental, because when I picked it up, that book was like, this is what I'm here for. This is the first time somebody really spells it out. And at that moment, I really felt it was Buddhism as a whole. This was the Buddha. So for me, this was the speech of the Lord Buddha. I didn't think it was the speech of particularly Trungpa Rinpoche. So it didn't come to my mind that I could actually go to really meet him. And so later I really became Buddhist, and I practiced when I was, 20 years old. I went in a full retreat in a forest for a whole year, alone, with the monastery helping me to have food in the forest. I would pick up the food, but I wouldn't see anybody. So I practiced for the whole year there, and then I made many retreats, like up until maybe 4 years altogether, with 5 months, 6 months, 1 year, things like that. Always practicing. And then my life went on, and later, and I was always reading the books of Trungpa Rinpoche, and for me, my whole intellectual setup was based on the books, because I read the books, like, I don't know, some of them 30 times, you know? I'm never fed up with it. Yeah, I don't know, whatever I read of him is always fresh. And very important, because it started to make a lot of sense as experience starts to come, because what he says is really related to experience. That's why a lot of people criticize what he was or he was not, but it's because they are maybe not able to enter into that kind of world where what you are hearing and what you are saying is about something that is not outside. It is outside, but it is not that kind of outside. Later, very much later, very much later, I had a very great health problems, and I was in an hospital. That was much later. Was maybe 37 or 40 years old. I had tuberculosis, and I was very sick, almost dying, with a lot of hemorrhagic. And I was really feeling bad psychologically also. I was psychologically not feeling good. It was very, very difficult. At that time, a lot of things difficult happened to me during all these years. And I was in the hospital, And I think I was a little bit sorry for myself or something like that. You know, that kind of thing that happens, we practice, but we always come back to that square one habit we had since the beginning that comes up again, no? And I had this book of Trungpa Rinpoche, which I never really paid that much attention, because for me the book about Shambhala didn't talk to me that much, because I was a little bit more relating to the Vajrayana books, you know, like Crazy Wisdom, Bardo, all these books about teachings of Vajrayana and practice. So the Shambhala, in the beginning, I thought, out of some kind of arrogance, I thought I understood it. And when I was in the hospital, I just took it again. I had it with me, hopefully. And suddenly it beated me like, wow, this is really what I needed, you know, because it's not what it seems. There's something else going on here. He's teaching me how this situation in this hospital with this dead all around and how bad I'm feeling. And I was in an hospital in Portugal, which was a very poor hospital, you know, with very little. I don't know how to tell you. It's like even there was not heat, or it was like 14 degrees there in the degrees we have in Europe. And so I suddenly understood, this is wonderful. This is no problem. This is okay. I don't know how to explain to you, because it's a shift, and the book made me shift. I suddenly shifted, and everything that was difficult was different, because it was really assuming that whatever was happening was okay. It's the path. It's not what I was thinking it was. It's something else. And then suddenly when my mind shifted, I could even see the people different. I could see there were all these women like arguing, because as it was poor, there was only one TV for 15 women, maybe only one toilet for 20, like that. And I would see them like, you know, problematic, or maybe I would have some thoughts, no? And then suddenly I saw something different. I saw the bodhicitta. I don't know how to explain this to you. And so Shambhala became very important. And then later I had another problem, which was that I had brain tumors, and I was operated, and I was seeing double. So everything I saw was double. And I wanted to find the book Shambhala to offer it to a person. And I went to, this was in Spain, I went to a shop, and I didn't find Shambhala. I found Dharma Art, and I didn't know the book Dharma Art existed. And so when I found the book, I was actually writing about the project I wanted to create. It was not easy to write with seeing double, so I would with one eye, you know. And I didn't really know how to explain. I wanted to make a project about art and dance that would be a mind training. And I was starting to have insight, and strange things happening to me, like seeing forms or geometric, or getting a little bit mystical trip, you know, like deeply excited inside of myself. But it was strong, because it was energy driving me, like you know, like you have something, you have to go through it. You don't know what it is. And actually, when I took that book, The Dharma Art, which I thought was a book I didn't know, I said, well, what is this book? I didn't know this book existed, because it takes some time to get to Portugal, to Spain, these books. And I see Dharma Art, and I see the explanation of it's non-aggression, and not the aggression against yourself, which would be to try to impress, and no aggression on others, which would be to fool them. And I thought, wow, this is it. This is what I'm working on. He did it. And that was terrible, because he did it, and he's not here anymore. He's gone. He's dead. And at that time of my life, I know it sounds very dramatic, but it's true. A lot of things happened to me. My house burnt. I left everything. I lost everything, and all these health problems. So I was like with no money, with no house, with nothing. And I was lucky enough that I got like magical help suddenly, and I went to United States to meet Trungpa, even if he's not there anymore. I want to meet him. I will meet him. And what happened to me is that I was really helped. Everybody helped me, and it's like something happened that made it very easy to do it. I didn't feel really linked to the institution. The institution was not talking to my heart that much, but was helpful. But the Shambhala, so I really went through these teachings, but the main thing was meeting Trungpa Rinpoche. And then also I was very lucky because Walter Fordham helped me to meet Jack Nyland, and Jack Nyland really went through with me all about Dharma art. So this was very important. And I really understood at that time that Trungpa Rinpoche was my root guru. And then I asked Ringo Turku Rinpoche, who is my main master, if that's possible. And he said, well, yes, of course it is possible. So that's what it is. And so it's very important because nowadays everything I have been able to live through all these difficult things and to make something else out of it and to work with art and then make this art become practice. It's really all thanks to Chögy, Dorje Dradul, and Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche. I'm not going to talk much more. I think this is enough. This is trying to share, as Sonia asked, a little bit of my own experience and why it's so important and why whoever listens to me and doesn't know about Chögyam Rinpoche, please be careful. Not get into... I know on internet people like to say bad things, and even some people, they had bad experiences, but sometimes the bad experience we have has to do with our own mind and how we see things. It can shift. And if some people say negative things, it's a little bit a shame because what is really on earth about Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche is very helpful, it's very powerful, and it's absolutely alive and absolutely completely available. And even the net of people who do feel this, what I'm talking about, we share it very vividly. Even we don't know each other, we do share that. And it's in the greatest master in Occident, the greatest master he kind of died for us. I'm not going to make it dramatic either, but this is the way I feel it. This was the way he could relate to that time, to this generation of hippies and the war in Vietnam at that time, and how he was the first Tibetan to really speak very good English, incredibly perfect English, and all this work on deep culture and what is art and what is human being and beyond cultural limitations. And wow. Guru Padma Sambhava in the modern days. Thank you. Goodbye.